Okay, welcome to our class. In this case, we treat the topic personal information. Okay, we start. Remember the personal pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. Now remember the verb to be. The verb to be is, are, and am. Now we make a combination of the verb to be with the personal pronouns. It might be up this way. Pronouns with the verb to be. I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, they are, we are. We also make a combination of the verb to be with personal pronouns and the negative form of the verb to be. Here we use the contraction with its apostrophe. Pronouns with the verb to be with negative form. I, you, he, she, it, they, and we. I am not, you aren't, he isn't, she isn't, it isn't, they aren't, we aren't. Besides the verb to be exists other verbs very important to use in the personal information. One of these is the verb live. Live. Examples: I live in New York, I live in Cali, I live in Chicago, I live in London, I live in Bogota. Live with the personal pronouns. I live in New York, you live in New York, he lives in New York, she lives in New York, it lives in New York, we live in New York, they live in New York. You notice it's necessary to add the letter S to the verb live, and he, she, and it. Remember, this happened to everyone verbs in the third person. Now let's go with live with the personal pronouns. Negative. I don't live in New York. I don't live in New York. He doesn't live in New York. She doesn't live in New York. It doesn't live in New York. We don't live in New York. They don't live in New York. Here you can notice that in negative form we use don't and doesn't. Don't is used for I, you, we, and they, while doesn't is used for he, she, and it. This is third person. Well, now we use from with the verb to be. Of this way, we use another structure of the personal information. Here we use contraction with the verb to be. This is the form from. I am from New York. You're from New York. He's from New York. She's from New York. It's from New York. We're from New York. They're from New York. Now let's go from negative form. I'm not from New York. You aren't from New York. He isn't from New York. She isn't from New York. It isn't from New York. We aren't from New York. They aren't from New York. These are some examples with negative sentences with from. Here we use contraction between the verb to be with not. Okay, let's go. Now let's go with age. With age. For the age, we can use only the verb to be, or we also can add the structure years old. The first only with the verb to be. I'm 23, you are 14, he's 17, she's 31, it's 4, we're 36 and 20, they're 15, 21 and 30. Now let's go with the structure years old. I'm 23 years old, you are 14 years old, he is 70 years old, or he is 70 years old, she's 31 years old, it's 4 years old, we're 36 and 20 years old, they're 15, 21 and 30 years old. Age negative. With only the verb to be. I'm not 23, you aren't 14, he isn't 17, she isn't 31, it isn't 4, we aren't 36 and 20, they aren't 15, 21 and 30. With the structure years old in negative. I'm not 23 years old, you aren't 14 years old, he isn't 17 years old, she isn't 31 years old, it isn't 4 years old, we aren't 36 and 20 years old, they aren't 15, 21 and 30 years old. In negative we add not. In this case we use the contraction of the verb to be with not. Some questions. Where do you live? How old are you? Where are you from? Do you live here? Are you 25 years old? Are you from Barranquilla? Where does he live? How old is she? Where is he from? Do they live here? Are they 25 and 20 years old? Are we from Barranquilla? Well, some questions. Now you try to answer these questions. After, you should make other similar questions with your classmates and answer them. Okay, let's go. Thank you. It's all. Goodbye.